brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Paul, where we rise and don't fall.
One of the things that the notes that I took down was the department of no, right? And just trying to shake that stigma. Do you recall when like HR changed from this much more like this transactional sort of department and entity to like more of a collaborative sort of partner inside of like the workforce?
I think there's an evolution, and I'm going to humbly state, I may not look like it, but I started in HR when it was personnel. And, you know, we were viewed as an administrative process, you know, making sure that we, you know, filed the right things to remain compliant, that we paid employees. So we started out as this administrative nature versus when you have humans involved and you want to be a resource. And I'm even, you know, it's even transformational in what we're calling HR now, from people to all these amazing things. But for me, I just recognized this was not the way that I wanted to practice HR. And part of that was from a curiosity. And I didn't necessarily talk about this in the book, but many of you that know me have probably heard the story where I worked for a leader and the first answer to everything was no. And it drove me crazy. Like I would come to him to say, well, can we do this? No. And I would be like, why is everything answered no? And he's like, well, in order for you to engage with leadership, you got to come back with the how and the why. And so he started building this curiosity in me, and I started wanting to learn more about the business, because in order to find the how and the why, you have to know what's going on, right? Because it's not just about us in HR, but how does this impact others? And I can thank Jim, my former leader, is a VP of HR I worked for earlier in my career, for that. As much as he knows, it drove me crazy. I mean, literally in a good way. But when I recognized that no is an opportunity, and so from an HR department, we are always answering no to everything, versus we need to be more comfortable before we say no, to ask the right questions, to say how and why. Like, why do you want to do this? Or how would you like to do this? So we can kind of tailor solutions, and then no is an opportunity to collaborate. So Jim, if you're watching it, which you probably aren't, but just in case, Jim, I appreciate you. And I thank you for kind of lighting that fire and allowing me to take that curiosity, and for me to take HR out of HR and out to the people. And in that organization, we started, you know, bringing HR to the departments, to our offsite locations, and really building that trust. So when I would walk into the department or to another office at 3 o'clock on a Friday, they weren't thinking somebody was getting terminated, because they would all scatter and run. It was more along the lines of, oh, Tina Marie's here, you know, how can she help? And I usually brought food. I started earning this trust because when I first started walking in, there was this legacy based of, not that Jim did this, so I'm saying Jim was not bad, but the sphere of HR, right? The Grim Reaper, we're the department of no, who's getting fired. No, we don't like it when we fire people. It's about 1% of our job, right?
Yeah.
If you like firing people, get out. I'm pulling your HR card.
That's right.
But you know, when you start taking HR to the people, for me, when I first started showing up, there was this fear and reluctance, and I showed up with food, preferably chocolate and cookies, because that brings people together and it's a conversation starter. And it's kind of like, look, I'm here in good faith and building
peace offering.
Yeah, it's my peace offering. And it allowed me to start building relationships, because the reason I was going out in the field is because I wanted to learn more. How can we help them be better, which helps us create profits and revenues, but is curiosity.